A massive updates here for the Cardano ecosystem. We're going to be talking about one of the biggest events here coming up in just about 10 days, in addition to highlights coming in from IOG, highlights coming in from Minswap, Bodega, Nuvola, Obymare, a brand new stablecoin launching in the ecosystem, as well as Flow and many others. Without any further ado, let's jump on in. What's up, Ada Gang? Welcome into Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. I'm your host here for Reed. As a part of today's video, we've got a jam-packed update going on with regards to the entire Cardano ecosystem. There's a lot of events going on, taking place, a lot of protocols making developments, continuing to push the ecosystem forward, all while we're waiting on the bull market to take off any second now. ADA currently trading at roughly around 84 to 85 cents. We've seen brief touches into the 90-cent range, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll be breaking into $1 and potentially retesting the highs set around November of 2024 following the recent US-based election. Now, as a part of today's video, we're diving into updates surrounding RareEvo, IOG, who'll be one of the main sponsors there, and exactly what we can expect from them, beginning with Dev Day, which is essentially taking place one day before the main kickoff event. Following that, we're also going to briefly discuss Minswap and the fact that they've now incorporated their own aggregator, making it easier and quicker to swap on the Cardano blockchain, followed by updates surrounding a brand new over-collateralized stablecoin, also known as Obymare, who is now officially launched on the testnet. I'll break all of that information down, followed by updates surrounding Nuvola, Bodega, Strike, and last but not least, Flow. Now, before we get into all those juicy updates, if it's your first time stopping by the channel, my goal is to help you find your footing here within the Cardano ecosystem. If you appreciate content like this, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up on the way in. It is by far one of the simplest and easiest ways to show your support here on the channel. If you want more of this content and you appreciate it, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or just want to voice off and share your opinion, feel free as always to leave a comment down below. Now, if you want to extend your support for the channel even further, I am a Cardano stake pool operator here, contributing to the Dapp Central stake pools, which both share the ticker DAPP. As always, your contributions and ADA delegation are sincerely appreciated. Now, for the sake of time, we're going to dive right on in here, kicking things off with the RareEvo event. This will be one of the biggest events here, taking place between August 6th through the 10th of 2025 in Las Vegas, Nevada. If I'm not mistaken, this will be held again at Caesar's Palace, and I'll be working to get an interview with Wes and Rand, two of the founders of this particular event, in order to break down the speakers, the venue, the food accommodations, the hotel stay, things like even the Dev Day, where there's going to be some mini golf or some golfing going on. They also, I believe, will be hosting a poker tournament, and then even having a pool day at the very end, followed by, of course, a closeout sort of nightcap or concert-based event. So again, really, really interesting event here. I participated last year. I could definitely say that there's going to be a lot of content coming from me in particular. Countdown currently stating that it's roughly about 10 days and 19 hours out. And again, in terms of the passes, we've got the general admission ticket. There's also the VIP ticket. And there's also, for the whales out there, the whale pass. I'll leave the link to the website down below, but it is available at rareevo.io. Now, IOG, or Input Output Global, which is founded and run by Charles Hoskinson, is essentially going to be presenting a lot of really exciting bits of content there. They're going to be talking about Bitcoin DeFi. They're going to be talking about Quantum Hosky. There's also even going to be talks about Midnight, a data-focused or data privacy-focused blockchain, which will be doing their Glacier drop very, very soon. So this will be taking place again during that particular time, the 6th through the 10th. And right now, they're going to be talking about Web3 innovations. There's going to be some live demos and, of course, some networking events. And we've got Trim there. Shout out to him. There's now a shift into Quantum Hosky that he's now going to be picking up. And, of course, we've got Charles right there actually playing Doom on Hydra. So I just wanted to give the both of them a brief shout out. So with regards to that, we can expect content and demos coming out from the Lace team. We've also got content surrounding Bitcoin DeFi coming out. We did see a little bit of that with the integration with Minswap and the Lace team, where they did a presentation back in, I want to say this was in Las Vegas actually, for the Bitcoin 2025 conference. And that was demoed by Charles back in May. In addition, I've talked about Midnight, and then we've got Quantum Hosky and Partner Chains. Now, speaking of partner chains, we've got the Cerberus team, which is building using the partner chain framework. We also have the Nuvola team building the Vola blockchain, which is also going to be using the partner chain framework. So it's going to be good to see, some of these demos here. And again, I'm going to look forward to trying to get some exclusive content, but wanted to at least break down the fact that IOG will be out there trying to make as much noise and get as much attention around what they're building and contributing to the Cardano ecosystem. Now, if you want to sign up for Dev Day, IOG will also be doing some work there. And it states here that RareEvo is right around the corner and that they're excited to kick things off with the Dev and Governance Day on August 7th, where they're going to be hosting Topgolf in Las Vegas. Again, I'll be there. I'll be interviewing some of the developers and actually talking about my experience as a stake pool operator there. And if you want to sign up, there is a Luma link. I'll leave the link to that down below, where that begins at 9 a.m. and finishes up at 5 p.m. Again, this will be done at the Topgolf Las Vegas, and it'll be including some of the most prominent figures here when it comes to governance and developers. That'll do it there for updates surrounding IOG in the upcoming RareEvo event. Again, make sure to use that code DAPP if you'll be participating. Again, if you haven't already purchased your ticket, that will give you a nice little discount. Moving over, we have a brand new contributor to the aggregator space, and that is none other than a Minswap. So I'm going to roll this here in the background, but it says that the Minswap team is proud to announce their latest product release, which is the Minswap Aggregator. This isn't just a minor tweak to Minswap. It's a part of their broader mission to make their DEX the go-to platform and the most efficient for swapping between Cardano native assets and ADA. By building an aggregator, Minswap repositions itself as the go-to platform for all DeFi swap activity on Cardano. And of course, to this day, it's always been DEX Hunter and Steel Swap. And so now there's a new competitor here, right? And so we haven't seen this sort of a shakeup here in the space for quite a long time. And it was actually interesting. The Hunt token actually took a brief dip as a result of this announcement. I'm not sure where the token currently stands, but that essentially eats into some of their core offerings. So it's going to be interesting to see how many other DEXs take this route, release their own sort of in-house aggregator to make swaps easier, simpler, and more efficient. Now, in closing, it says that some of the advantages of using the Minswap aggregator include a better trade output, the fact that they will refund front-end fees on any canceled transactions, and the fact that they also support direct CNT to CNT swap. So if you want to maybe swap, for example, let's say the World Mobile token for the Minswap token, you can do that there. Maybe you want to swap from USDM or any other Cardano native asset to another CNT, you can do that. It doesn't necessarily have to be an ADA to a CNT swap in order for this to actually be used. So this is massive here when it comes to the aggregator. Now, by default, it is turned on. And what I've done here is pulled up the aggregator itself. And let's just say I've got roughly 5,000 ADA in my wallet and I want to swap that for WMT or WMTX. We can see that here. And then at the very bottom, there's now a trade route button that actually displays which DEXs will be used and how much of the actual total order value will be going towards each DEX. So with this particular trade order, 57% of the ADA will be going towards making the swap on Sunday Swap V1, 26% going towards Minswap V1, 8% towards Wing Riders, 5% towards Minswap V2, and then 4% towards Sunday V3. This is extremely impressive here. And again, something that we haven't had within the space. And so, for example, let's say I maybe want to swap SNEC for WMT. Let's just say I want to pay with 10,000 or 100,000. There we go. Now I can actually swap SNEC directly for WMT. And if I click on the split here, it'll let me know exactly how that's going to happen. So a massive upgrade here coming in from the Minswap team. Now, before we continue further, as always, if you guys do enjoy the content, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. Again, it's one of the easiest ways to support me as a content creator. If you want more, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or maybe I just didn't explain something quite well, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll make sure to address those ASAP. Next, we've got a brand new contender when it comes to the stablecoin space in Cardano. And so here we've got Obymare, where their testnet is now live. Now, what's interesting about this is that this is going to be an over-collateralized stablecoin, and you can head over to their website, and the testnet is now available to anybody who wants to jump on and test it. I have tested it, and one thing that I can say is that their user interface, seamlessness, and just ease of use has really caught my eye. Now, this is going to be a little bit different than something like USDM, which is fiat-backed, where there is a bank and an oracle that's used to essentially make sure that whatever's held in the reserves is also actually minted and available online. This will take a very similar approach to JED, where there's going to be an over-collateralization, meaning that there's no fiat backing. However, you can provide ADA. Once you do provide that ADA, that you're then able or enabled the ability to actually mint the OBYUSD stablecoin. Now, if you want to find out more about OBYUSD or Obymare, the website is obymare.com. Link will be left down below, but it states here that they use a over-collateralized design where a stablecoin is backed by excess reserves in order to maintain a strict one-to-one peg to the US dollar. They keep it simple, and it's all been engineered and designed with simplicity in mind. They provide unparalleled stability, where their conservative monetary systems ensure robustness and strict stability. And last but not least, they also boast capital efficiency, where they aim to maximize the utility of capital by simultaneously rewarding users on their holdings while supplying liquidity to protocols. Now, as a brief review here, this is the actual testnet. Again, super sleek, super simple. You've got the ability to connect your wallet. From here, you can view your positions. You can also view comprehensive protocol analysis or analytics. You've got the ability to liquidate a position. You can redeem or exchange your OBYUSD if you hold any for a $1 worth of ADA at any given time. So you can actually either mint OBYUSD or you can purchase it or get it from a DEX. And at any time that you want, you can swap it back to ADA by coming in here and using their redeem function. They've also got some resources here, and then they've got the ability for you to review how you can actually generate yield on the actual platform. So here's again a brief overview. I'll leave the link to this down below, but make sure to go ahead and check it out. Once you connect your wallet, it's pretty simple, super sleek, and again, super quick to actually get access to and to sort of play around with, right? Whether you're minting, liquidating, or redeeming, it's all very simple and quick. And so again, I'm not going to be able to highlight all of this now. However, I will have a dedicated review of this actual platform, how it works, and exactly what they bring to the table that's different than some of the other stable coins that we have here in the ecosystem, i.e. USDM being developed by Mainnet, JED developed by Cody, and then we also have, I want to say it's IUSD, and then Mint also has their stablecoin as well as Anzin's USDA. So we're finally getting a broader spectrum of stablecoins, some of them being synthetic assets. Now we have Obymare, which is bringing an over-collateralization aspect similar to JED. And then we've also got fiat-backed, aka USDA, as well as USDM. Next, we're briefly jumping into NVL or Nuvola Updates. Now, I just released a fully dedicated video breaking down everything Nuvola. So if you haven't checked that out, please make sure to do so because, again, I can't break it all down here. But if you've missed it, the Nuvola staking dashboard is now live on the mainnet. With this release, you have the ability to claim your rewards, create new staking positions, collateralize your rewards. You can also lend and borrow against any accrued rewards. And you can do all of that while enjoying zero fees. You're only going to be paying for the Cardano transaction fees. There's no additional fees going towards the actual Nuvola team for using any of their features within their dashboard. Moving forward, you can also view the global earnings as well as their assets or revenue per node partner. And then they're also going to be integrating a governance portal or governance section directly within this dashboard as well. Now, if you haven't already done so, it's going to be imperative that you go ahead and move your staking positions. If you have a staking position on their old platform, that will no longer be earning you rewards. Now, this was done on the 21st of July, where we saw roughly 70% of the NVL that was previously staked on their old platform has now been moved over. However, roughly about 14 to 15% still remains unmoved, and then the remainder is actually unstaked. So please take the time, if you are an NVL holder, to move your staking position over there and to make sure that you're able to receive your due rewards. Now, in addition to that, I want to break down the fact that the NVL team has now also received their first ever set of rewards for the Minutes network. There's a lot that's going to be going out from them. And then on top of that, there's also rewards coming in here from the Cornucopias game, as there's now been 3 delegated staking nodes that have now been deployed with the tickers NVL1, NVL2, and NVL3. And on top of that, the team is now currently operating a total of 172 nodes. So if you're within the Cornucopias community, you're looking for an opportunity to put your copy to work for you, make sure to go ahead and check this particular feature out and check out the Nuvola pools in order to show them some support. Next, I want to briefly touch on the Bodega platform. So Bodega states the time has come. They're excited to announce the Bodega V3 tradable shares release is now live on the mainnet. So Bodega is the biggest predictions marketplace in the ecosystem right now, essentially meaning that for any sort of game, event, whether a news-related event or happening, you've had the ability to place a bet as to how it's going to play out, right? Typically, it's 2 options. So for example, there's an option here where ADA reaches $1 by August, and you can either say yes or no. Now, as you have previously been able to do that, you weren't actually given shares that you could trade on the market yourself, but now that's going to be available. So as you purchase or buy into a particular side of prediction, you're going to be given a set of shares. And if you want, you can actually swap those or trade those to somebody else who might be looking to bet in that similar direction. Now, jumping over, they did release a fully dedicated article here breaking down the Bodega V3 features. I'll leave the link to this down below, but it states here that Bodega V3 transforms information into tradable assets on the Cardano blockchain, allowing users to buy and sell predictions on real world events. Scrolling down, they talk a little bit more about their decentralized bookmaker model, also known as the DBM, where with V3 and this new model, Bodega token holders who hold at least 50,000 Bodega tokens can actually create their own markets. And as a result, they'll actually be able to earn a fee depending on how much volume that particular market earns. Now, talk a little bit more about the fact that this is a little bit different than Bodega V2, where unlike V2, market creators in V3 must provide initial liquidity in order to seed their market. So you can't just create markets with 0 ADA or with 0 liquidity, because again, people will probably spam that. But you actually have to have the 50,000 Bodega and be able to put a little bit of skin in the game, right? In order to be able to earn as more people actually buy into your particular market. Now, for the sake of time, I can't break all of this down, but as you guys can see here, very, very thorough article breaking down calculations, etc., and how to best use the actual platform. And here it is live. So very, very cool, very intuitive, very simple, to go ahead and jump into. You can go ahead and quickly add how many shares you want to buy into. You can click on bet, and then you can connect your wallet and then proceed from that moment on. So again, really cool to see all of the upgrades taking place here in the ecosystem. Next, I want to briefly talk about Strike Finance, where they have now launched the SNEC Perpetuals. This was done on the 23rd of July. Now, Perpetuals here gaining a little bit more strength for anybody who wants to leverage trade. Understand the risks, of course, but Strike started off with just ADA Perpetuals for longing and shorting, and that did extremely well. They then also released their staking features, as well as the ability for the community to add liquidity to the protocol, which again is borrowed by anybody placing a long or short. And depending on how the actual spreads work, you are able to earn an APY. Now, understand the risk with that as well, because again, if you provide liquidity and that liquidity goes out to paying, a lot of people that are going long, there is an opportunity where you actually do lose a little bit. So without going into all the details and the minutia there, I just want to highlight the fact that in addition to the ADA Perpetuals, you now have the ability to long or short SNEC, which is by far the most traded token in the ecosystem. And it's also one of the biggest in terms of community. And they've recently also partnered up with IOG in order to just grow, right, as a meme, but as a community and as one of the first ever listed Cardano native assets on a tier 1 centralized exchange, which was Kraken a couple of months back towards the early or first quarter of the year. So jumping over here into the actual Strike Finance platform, as you guys can see here, I'm now currently looking at the SNEC/USD trading pair. We also have ADA/USD. Currently, SNEC, you can 10x. And with ADA, you can go as much as 15x whatever you're putting down as your sort of collateral there. And as we can see, I mean, not much short interest in SNEC, currently only $24 worth of shorts versus nearly $500,000 worth of longs. And it's very similar to the interest here for Cardano, where we've got nearly $2.7 million worth of longs and only $82,000 worth of shorts. Now, in closing here, I want to quickly shout out the Strike team, which has now announced that they've essentially become more than 50% of all of Cardano's current trading volume. So as we can see here, on the 24th of July, the Strike team gathered roughly around 5.6 million ADAs worth of trading volume compared to all of the other DEXs combined, which nearly only brought in 5 million ADA. So really, really good to see here again, the fact that this team continues to grow. And I think they've essentially like revived the sense of DeFi in the ecosystem and showed that people, or have shown people, excuse me, that liquidity is here and that when a platform provides value that people are looking for, ADA, trading volume, and eyeballs will inevitably come. Again, congrats to this particular team. As we get ready to close things out here, I want to briefly highlight Flow. And so the team from Flow is building out a lending and borrowing platform very similar to LendFi or AADA Finance. And they're now pushing, right, to get 100 million ADA worth of TVL on their platform. And they're currently at roughly around 3.8 million ADA. I just sat down not too long ago with Phil from their team, who's their founder. And he sort of broke down their vision, their mission, exactly what we can expect from the Flow team moving forward. Make sure to go ahead and check that out. Now, moving right along, we've got some additional updates here with regards to some of the best yields on Cardano, which are available on the Flow platform. Currently, we've got 9% APY or a 9% APY on ADA if you're supplying that as a asset that other people can borrow. Looking across the line here, ADA Flow in terms of supply, giving you roughly around 5%. If we take a look at ADA/SNEC and you're supplying, you're earning roughly around 7.85%. And then again, we've got ADA/Strike that's providing roughly around a 9% return. And what I'll probably end up doing is putting together some sort of content here around different DeFi strategies. So let me know if you guys would like to see something like that. Because again, I think that with Bodega, Strike, and Flow, they're very, very close-knit teams. But you can actually use each of these different platforms to earn a passive income if you know how to do it right. So if you guys are interested in that type of content, I'm more than happy to go ahead and provide that. Just go ahead and let me know as a part of the comments down below. What's really interesting here is for the USDM/ADA pair, if you want to go ahead and supply that, you're earning roughly around 8%. But then again, make sure to look at the borrow APRs on the right-hand side because you do have to pay that if you are borrowing against your assets. Now, last but not least, the team has released their documentation section. I can't break all this down here, but there's just a lot of information here about opening up a loan, borrowing assets, supplying assets, liquidations, fees, risks parameters, practical examples, governance, security audits, glossary, and their roadmap here. So again, make sure to go ahead and check this out. If you have any questions or just interested in getting more into the DeFi space here as things do begin to heat up in the Cardano ecosystem. That was quite a video, but we are at the end here. Hopefully you guys have found this to be helpful. I definitely did. And this is a great refresher for me to get back on the camera again. I do appreciate all the support here. If you found this particular update to be helpful, enjoyable, or just you've learned anything along the way, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up on the way out. If you want more content like this and you appreciate it, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns for me as relates to anything we've talked about today, feel free to leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.